Hello, and welcome once again to the Sweaty Casuals podcast. We are now on episode 8. Crazy shit. We're getting there. Almost the double digits. And I'm already feeling the fatigue from dealing with you three idiots.
Are you sure this is episode 8?
Yes, I'm 100% sure it is episode 8. It feels like the last episode was forever ago. But that's just because we did it on Wednesday and then we waited till Friday. So it's like those 2 extra days feel so goddamn long for some reason. Anyway, we're in full force.
Are you sure we're on episode 8?
Yes, we are in full force this week. Zion is here. Say hello, Zion.
Hello, Zion.
Fantastic. And as the usual, we've got the waffle man himself, Funky.
Hello.
And the man across the pond, Koshi.
Hello, Zion.
Jesus Christ. And myself. I will introduce myself this time. I'm Gannon.
Whoa.
Hi. I'm here too. As if that wasn't bloody obvious every goddamn week.
Also known as the Golden Gargler.
No, that is not what I'm known as at all. That's not a thing. That's not
the golden shower.
It's not a thing. We're not making it a thing. It's not happening. So this week, last week technically, Baldur's Gate released. So that is hype as hell, and that's pretty much all we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks since it came out. And that is why this episode is late, because for the foreseeable future, until we decide not to, the podcast is probably going to be on a Friday because we're going to want to play Baldur's Gate for Wednesday and Thursday. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. And nobody can blame us because that game so far, even though I haven't played personally that much of it, but it is fantastic.
I mean, it's in the top 10 of most played games on Steam ever.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a game of the year contender for sure. A strong contender at that.
Yeah. Which is like somewhat unsurprising.
Is it though?
I was expecting it to be more niche in that way.
I was expecting it to be popular, but not as popular as it is, especially for what it is being a D&D game. And I know it'll bring in the D&D, it'll bring in Baldur's Gate, and it'll bring in the fans of Divinity. But that's it. That's not. All of those things are niche categories, so it'll be a big niche.
Exactly.
I think it's not just the D&D crowd and all that. I think it's the RPG crowd, and the RPG crowd is big for these type of games. And I feel like it all these little groups, they do like appear small when they're in their own. Like the Divinity crowd is small. The D&D crowd is technically huge, but when it translates over to playing a game on the PC, it's not as big.
Yeah, because there's awfully most of the time they're not good.
Yeah, true. But Divinity obviously proved that it can be good. And they've proved it once again with Baldur's Gate 3 being even better than Divinity, I would dare say.
Yeah.
So like all these little groups, like I assume even people who are fans of kind of like Mass Effect kind of things, because that had like, you know, it's the whole play it your way with decisions, and you can be bad or good or whatever the hell. Like all these little groups all come together into a huge audience, which is why it's exploding everywhere.
And word of mouth helps a lot too.
Like, so I'm not like too surprised. I am a little bit surprised, but not as I'm not like freaking the fuck out over it. It's.
I expected it to be a success. I didn't expect it to be in the top 10 of most played games ever.
I guess that is kind of crazy.
Yeah. But I could almost beat Hogwarts, which is a very generic in a good term because it was a good game, but it's one of those almost for everybody.
That's like a mainstream household name kind of franchise. Yeah, I get that. Like that is nuts to be competing with a game like that. Do you think because people have been saying that Tears of the Kingdom has kind of been knocked off the contender by Baldur's Gate?
I don't think it'll have been knocked off but as a contender, but I think it's it'll definitely be giving it a very good run for its money.
I'll be honest, I didn't think it was gonna make it anyway. It would have been nominated, but I didn't think it would win anyway.
What?
Well,
Tears
it's funny you guys.
Baldur's
Tears
Gate or
of the Kingdom.
Yeah.
It's funny you guys mentioned that because later on, after you guys have all had your say, I have something that I want to point out that could seem controversial, and I think it's going to start a debate. But I'm going to save that to the end because I think it's going to dominate the rest of the podcast, or a good section of it anyway.
Fair enough.
So keep that in mind, what you guys are talking about.
Okay. Why save it though? I mean,
well, get the stuff you want to say out. Your accolades, and your congratulations to Laren, and
just the cock in my mouth and praise them for all.
Congratulations, Sven.
Don't you mean the Baldur's Gate cock in your mouth?
What about the balls?
Baldur's Gate.
The boulders in his mouth.
Yeah. Big old baldy balls.
Boulders in his gate.
Just gargling them up.
Oh, fuck off. No, it's turned out to be really good. I'm excited for the rest of our playthrough. I'm excited for the solo playthrough as well. Even though it's one of those games where it's a single player game if you play it solo, obviously. But that's you need to sit down and be prepared to dedicate hours to it.
Yeah.
It is not the type of game where you can just go, I'll just play for an hour. It is the type of game where you sit down at the start of your night and you go, this is what I'm playing for the rest of the night. Because it's you can't get enough out of it in just an hour or so. It has to be I'm gonna sit down for a decent session right now.
Yeah, you gotta commit.
Yeah, which is not always something I'm in the mood for, or at least by the time I'm in the mood for that. It's the night's already gone, so I'm well, it's no point at this. I might as well just wait until tomorrow. And that happens quite often, which is why it takes me so long to get through single player games these days. Because I've got to be in the mood to really dedicate myself to them. But it's eventually I'm gonna get around to it because I've been in the mood for earlier this week I did it and I ended up spending 6 hours just the intro areas.
Yeah,
I think
it is definitely something you need to commit to.
It took me about 25 hours to do Act 1 because I did pretty much everything. Because I like you say, I very much did the thing of I'll just do this and then I'll log off. No, I just finished and I've completed this quest. I might as well go hand it in. Or I might as well go hand that in as well while I'm in this area. I might as well look through the shop. Oh, this is a good idea.
Obviously, there's been other games before this, but lately I call it the Stellaris effect. It is I'll just do this one extra thing, and then that spirals into 10 extra things, and by the time you know it's 2 hours have disappeared in a blink of an eye, and you're like, what the fuck just happened?
I've never heard of this phenomenon before. Is this something new?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Okay. As one of the YouTubers I watch called it uno más, which literally just means one more.
Yeah.
Uno más.
Because he does Mario Maker levels, but he does he does short ones like puzzle levels and stuff. So he goes, I'll just do one more. I'll just do one more. One more.
So I know that we normally go around and say what we've been playing this week, but I feel like the only answer to that for everybody is going to be Baldur's Gate 3.
And not as much as I wanted to.
Yeah, it's kind of a pointless segment of the show. So
yeah.
Alongside Baldur's Gate 3, has anybody been watching anything? Anything interesting?
No, mostly just been cooking.
Cooking? What have you been cooking?
I heard cocaine.
Yeah, that as well. I've been. It's tomato season and it's almost out, so I've been canning. I've been canning tomatoes to make pasta sauces in the winter with fresh summery tomatoes, and I made chili jam earlier, so with some Scotch bonnets, some habaneros, and some regular chilies, and then you can just pour that on your omelet and everything like that.
Awesome. Chili jam? What?
Yeah.
I have heard of it before, but it's not something I've heard.
It's
often.
kind of like it's sweet and sour, sweet and spicy kind of thingy.
Right.
So.
I mean, I mean, thinking of it, like, I'm like, does that really work? But if I taste it, it'd probably be like, I get it.
It's not like you spread it over like regular jam. It's just you use a little bit in your cooking and all of that.
All right, okay. Fair enough.
Think of it as a bit more like Tabasco, but with obviously not as little as that. But
have you been watching anything, Koshi?
I've been watching Funky make spicy jam.
That is true.
In the nude?
Right.
Because obviously
watched,
he's a naked chef.
Black Desert. Wow. Black Mirror, 2 episodes from that, from the latest season. And,
oh yeah, I forgot that was I've watched all but the last episode in the latest season. They are some good episodes. This season has been actually really fucking good, I feel like. But speaking of, I think this season has been really good as just like short stories. But they haven't been quite as like future dystopian as I had come to expect from Black Mirror episodes. There has definitely been a bit of a switch in how the overall vibe of the episode seems to have changed a bit, but I'm still enjoying them. But I do kind of miss it seems like it's more horror and less dystopian, which is weird to say.
That's why Koshi was interested.
Yeah,
Funky and
I'm not up to date on it, but like even in the last series I watched, they were very much leaning more towards, like you say, classical horror rather like fear horror.
Yeah.
To use the phrase to separate, as opposed to what they started out with, which was more social horror. Like
and I like
the one object
social
and
horror
blew it
stuff.
out into dystopia levels and went, this technology is not actually that much different, or it is the same technology we have now, just used in a slightly different way.
Yeah,
whereas
the potentials of it could be abused, kind of thing.
They seem to be going to that one episode where they did lean towards that episode where the guy did the VR game where it was all about fear, and it was just. That was basically the episode was just fear. It wasn't really doing anything. It was just a traditional horror episode.
Yeah. So you've seen the first 2 episodes of it. What did you think of them?
No, I watched them out of order. I watched Lock Henry.
Yeah, that's
and I watched the
second
Space
episode.
Station one.
Space Station one was which one was that?
I don't remember the name, but it's the 2 astronauts.
And they come down with and they've got like the robots' bodies on the ground.
Yeah.
That was a really good episode.
So my thoughts on them were, they're interesting to watch, and you want to know how it's going to end and what the twist, if there is one, is going to be.
Yeah.
Because most of them do have some sort of twist. And it's a twist. But once I watched the episode, I don't want to go back. Like, I will never ever watch season 6 again. There are some episodes that stand out that I think are really good. The classic White Christmas, for instance. There's a couple from season 1. There's one from I don't remember what season it is. I think it's season 3. It's the one where the girl keeps waking up and being chased by the town. I forget the name of it. It was kind of controversial at the time.
Oh, the one where she committed a murder, so she's
but she had no memory of it.
Yeah, she's getting a memory wiped, and she has to relive his last day. every day as a tourist attraction, essentially.
And I mean, there were quite a few handful of episodes that I would not mind watching again, but personally for me, I think season 4 really shit the bed. I didn't even bother with season 5, which I think was, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't it just one movie?
Double check.
The Bandersnatch or whatever it was, or
Yeah.
whatever it was called. I don't know if that was a season, considered a season, but they did after season 4 or 5, whatever it was, they did just do that. But I don't know if that's officially considered a season or whether it's just a film.
Well, that came after season 4, and now this is season 6. So I assume.
Oh well, then yeah, if that's how it's labeled, then yeah, they must have
I think they did, but I mean, it's not just a simple film though. It's not like a 2-hour film. Like there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But I think like they dedicated the whole season 5 to it.
Season 5 has 3 episodes, which is the least amount of all the seasons.
I think they're done well, but I don't know. There's just something about them that doesn't sit right with me. I mean, I still want to watch them, and like I said, when you sit down and start watching them, you get really interested in what's happening, and you want to see the ending. But I feel like once I've seen the ending, I'm like, no, I'm never gonna watch this again, no matter if I like the ending or not.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just something about his writing style that has changed this season, and it's not just this season. I noticed a little of it in 4, which is where I started to have the downfall with the series because I liked 1 through 3 a lot.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
I don't know. That's just me though.
I agree.
Your opinions may differ.
Like the earlier seasons definitely were more thought provoking, but even like the later seasons, even like the episodes that I've just watched, when you're watching them, they're still engaging. They're still like I'm still like I agree with you. I'm still wanting to find out what the twist is, but they're not quite as memorable overall. Like
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. I probably wouldn't go back and watch them, but there is a couple of them. But I feel like that's been the case with almost every season. It's like a couple of them are like really stand out. But Lock Henry, which was episode 2, that felt more just a horror, like a short story horror, which was interesting, and I enjoyed it for what it was. But it was like, it's not quite what I was wanting from Black Mirror. As much as I did enjoy the episode, I was hoping for something else. But then Beyond the Sea came, which is the one where they're in the space station and they're controlling the androids. That episode was fun. That was Black Mirror to me. That was because that's like all to do with like out of body experiences and like the whole android thing, and like that had a lot of the dystopian or future tech kind of aspect to it, and the morality stuff that I like about it. That was a very Black Mirror episode, and I probably would say that was the one I enjoyed the most out of season 6. I haven't seen episode 5 yet, which is the last one. So, but I have a feeling it's not going to top Beyond the Sea. But from the reviews that I've seen, it's everybody else also agrees that Beyond the Sea is probably the best episode out of it. So it's nice to know.
That's the one I like the least.
With the space station guys?
Uh-huh.
Really? You are among the minority, it seems. Most people are saying that Beyond the Sea is the best episode out of the current season, and I would agree that I have enjoyed that one the most.
But of course, I've only seen 2 of them, so I mean, basically what I'm saying is I enjoyed Lock Henry more.
Right.
But I don't know. I got to see the others, and maybe after some time, because this is one thing about the show, and you hit the nail on the head real well when you said that the others are thought provoking. Like when you sit down and watch like White Christmas or, the other one we mentioned, excuse me, that I can't recall the name of, where the girl's a tourist attraction being hunted.
Yeah.
They really sit down and make you think days after you've watched the episode about, contemplating your own existence and putting yourself in that situation and how would that affect you and how would you be able to deal with stuff like that. And it can get real philosophical at times.
Mm-hmm.
But this series 6 pretty much, I feel like, dropped most of that. And it's just been like, I mean, Funky and I talked about this before. People were kind of on the fence about it because it feels more like a Twilight Zone episode.
Yeah.
It's dropped the philosophical bits, and like Lock Henry is just a straight up horror.
Yeah.
But even then, the way it's written has me like still thinking about it days after. So my opinions could change. I mean, I just finished Beyond the Sea yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So like my opinions could change as I watch other episodes and time has gone through. But as of right now, I kind of preferred Lock Henry more. But we'll see.
Yeah. Speaking of season 5, episode 3 had what's her face in it? Shit, I forgot her name. That's terrible.
It took me a while to realize that Beyond the Sea was Josh Hartnett. It didn't. It looked like him, but it didn't. And I'm like, is that Josh Hartnett? No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Through the whole episode, that was me. Because it looks like him, but it looks different somehow. I don't know. It was really weird. Which he did a fantastic episode or a fantastic performance in that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good actor.
He is.
Yes. What the fuck is her name? Why am I blanking on her name?
Because you're a moron.
Fair.
Miley Cyrus. Jesus, that took me way too long.
I didn't even know she acted.
Yeah, and she
I've
she
never
was
seen her singing.
she was the actress for episode 3 on last season. She did a fantastic job. She is an actress.
You know how she made a name?
Yes,
she
was a Disney
kids?
actress. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I mean recently.
But obviously, she followed.
I meant the good one.
And started doing music after that.
Yeah.
But episode 3 proved to me that she definitely hasn't lost her acting chops. And that I can't remember much of episode 1 or episode 2 of that season, but episode 3 stuck with me, and that was about it was about it was written as a response for the whole Britney Spears controversy going on at the time. Obviously, it's kind of dealt with now because she got free, or however you want to view that. But that was basically, from what I gathered, that was Miley Cyrus coming to and working with the writers for the show of basically like getting awareness out about the whole Britney Spears situation and other people in that situation of being trapped and no longer having autonomy over their body and like lack of control over themselves due to legal or whatever else, like feeling imprisoned and that kind of thing.
Contracts and all that bullshit.
Yeah, like that was a really thought-provoking episode. That was definitely a good episode that I thought. But it does feel like season 6 has kind of definitely took a weird, like a difference in the, because episode 4 Maisie Day, straight up horror, like 100%. It's straight up horror. It is not a thought-provoking episode in the slightest. It is a horror episode. And while it is a good episode, it's not a good Black Mirror episode, if that makes sense.
Because
like,
I've had a few of them before. To be fair, To be fair, the episode, was it season 4, where it was like an anthology episode where it was multiple stories of the guy going around the museum, showing is that effect, and then told the story behind it, and it was that one. It's a good episode, but I don't think it fit the Black Mirror as an episode. If they'd have done that as a film, so like each story was episode length, like half an hour each, rather than 5-10 minutes, I think it would have done better. But it didn't really fit like the series, the season of it.
Was it season?
I've done it before.
which season was it where the guy was in the car and he kidnapped someone and he had a gun and he ended up getting the. It was about his girlfriend that died in a car crash because of an like a distracting phone app, and he basically got into the.
I think
phone.
you're talking about. It's a season 4 episode. Wasn't it a pizza delivery bot? Or is that another episode?
I think it's a different.
But I remember what you're talking about. They were on a long road, like in Iceland or something.
No, this one's about it's set after his girlfriend dies, and he basically orchestrates kidnapping. He kidnaps someone from the company. And,
I do remember.
And he forces him to get in contact with the CEO of the company, who's on like a vacation retreat at the time, but he ends up getting on the phone call with him, and all the time the cops are trying to like talk him down from killing the hostage that he's got in the car with him, and he's in like a field, and he's like basically pouring his heart out about why he's done everything, like why he's kidnapped the guy, why he's doing all this, and why he wanted this talk, and he's basically like saying your app is evil, it caused the death of my girlfriend, and blah blah blah. And at all this point, the cops are like trying to circle around him and get a clean shot to kill him, and it's like a race against time of like this really like tense standoff. That was like a really good standout episode, and that was very much a Black Mirror episode as far as
that one took up the whole self-driving cars thing.
Yeah, and just like apps on your phone distracting you at all points, trying to. It was basically, should an app be allowed to demand 100% of your attention at all time? It's like, because that's what they do. It is exactly what they're designed to do already. Like, so that was like the whole moral dilemma was, or the thought-provoking part was, should we allow apps to be doing this, and can we stop them? And the answer is really no, not really.
Not particularly.
Look at how TikTok has brain rotted so many people.
Or just Twitter. And Facebook. You don't need to go far.
Yeah, pretty much any social media now is just the same.
Yeah. That's why I'm just kind of like, I don't need to be on this.
But I feel like the earlier seasons of Black Mirror definitely had more of those episodes, and the latest seasons have less of them. And I don't, and it's difficult to judge it because like me and Koshi have said, it's like I enjoy the episodes. I'm like, while I'm watching, they're good episodes, they're well written, they're just not what I was wanting from a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
So I still come away feeling a bit like, even though I enjoyed it, which is a really strange feeling.
I've only seen up to season 2, so I can speak.
That's weird, because I would definitely have thought that like Black Mirror would be your type of thing, Funky.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where I need to get around to this and just never do.
Yeah, I've not watched it since, like it went on break for a while. Obviously, it's only come back recently. I have not watched any of the newer episodes.
It went on break because I think it was the BBC had them, didn't it?
Yeah.
It used to be on the BBC.
That ended with 3.
Yeah. And it went on break.
And then they went to Netflix.
And then they came back with Netflix because Netflix bought them, and then they had to take time to actually like film the new stuff. So like everything onwards was.
I've seen everything up to Bandersnatch.
Which one was that?
Yeah, so you're just
Bandersnatch is the film.
Yeah, so then you're just missing basically season 6,
brand
the
new
new
stuff.
one.
Yeah, I think.
I actually enjoyed Striking Vipers, which was episode 1 of last season. But I feel like I like that one because it was video game related.
This is gonna sound nerdy and obvious for me, for anyone who knows me, but I really enjoyed episode 4, season 1, the Star Trek episode.
Oh yeah.
You don't say.
Damn, I'm shocked. I would have never guessed.
Star Trek and a video game? I don't get it.
Yeah.
That was actually that was a genuinely good episode, though. To be fair, it was a good one.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Do you guys speaking of that, something that's quite similar in terms of that show is Love, Death, Robots.
I have not seen that.
Really?
It's on my
only season 1.
It's on my list. It's always been on the list of I'll watch that, and then it's just stayed on that list. I've never got around to actually watching it. I don't know why.
Stuff keeps coming up.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say, at the very least, watch season 1. Like season 2 and 3 are still good, but season 1 is definitely the absolute best. It's still like got the most variety and different like hard hitting episodes in it. But it's all like different animations. So it's not like a
I think it's one of those. They've got different studios for episodes. I think, didn't they?
If anybody knows what Animatrix is, it's kind of that kind of thing where it's different. It's different studios, different artists doing different story, like little things, short things of. So nothing's really.
Star Wars series as well did that.
Yeah. Nothing's like flowing into the same story, but it's all like based on the same kind of future dystopian stuff. So that's kind of like the same vibe as what Black Mirror was originally going for, but with cool, very cool art, like animation stuff. Yeah. Some of them are really bizarre.
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the last episode of season 1. Might be Secret War. That had a really bizarre art style to it. And it kind of bothered my eyes to watch it, which is like the very first time I've ever experienced something like that. But I guess that was kind of part of what it was hoping to achieve.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But definitely, like, if you haven't seen Love, Death, Robots, definitely watch at least the first season, because that is definitely right up.
First season, I can't speak for the second season since I've
seen them all. They're all good. I just feel like the first season was definitely the best out of all of them.
I think what stops me from really being like, oh, I gotta see the next season is because it's all standalone short stories where it's just like, because I like stories, and of course but it's not like, oh, I see one episode and then I know it's not going to be followed up upon, so it's kind of like doesn't give me the urge to go like, oh no, I really really gotta see this.
Yeah, like you're not it's not like it's ending on cliffhangers where you've got to wait until next week to see it. It's more like it's a short story that I'll probably enjoy, but I can get around to it at any time.
Yeah, and that's still to its benefit where you have a nice wrap up. So I'm not saying it's a negative. It's just it's stopping me from keeping up with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I prefer these like short stories though, because I feel like they get more creative with it. With given like especially when it's in this format where it's like hyper artistic, like visually stuff. Like it's all visual storytellings as much as it is good writing.
And even I mean, even if there is if there is one where you're like, not my jam. It's one episode and it's gonna be a different style and everything for the next one, so it doesn't really matter if you didn't like that one that much.
Even the episodes where I was thinking this isn't my jam, I was still appreciating the fact that it was still artistically well made.
Yeah,
like you could tell there was a lot of talent and effort and time and care put into it. So I was still I still came away from the episodes where that didn't quite vibe with me. I was still feeling quite positive about it.
Yeah. The only thing and it's that is the thing with short stories again, where it's the I think the order could have been better, because you kind of go from at times you go from a really sweet slow story and then
comedy.
Suddenly it's all action again, and then like and because they're short stories, it's like every 20 minutes 25 minutes you're just have to change your mood and everything like that. But like I said, that's not to the thing itself. That's just short stories in general if you watch them after each other.
One of the episodes that stood out to me funny enough, was maybe one of the weaker episodes, but it was episode 13, Lucky 13.
I think I remember that one. Yeah.
About the spaceship.
Oh yeah.
And it had the girl from Star Trek Discovery or Orange Is the New Black.
Yeah.
The short-haired black lass.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the star of that episode. I don't want to
I
give
kind
any
of like
spoilers.
the car park one.
I don't want to give any spoilers, but I like Lucky 13 because it was about kind of like it reminded me of my attachments to things that I have in video games.
Fair enough,
Like you kind of project a personality onto things that don't have it.
Yeah.
Whereas like yeah, I can't really say much more without spoiling it, but yeah.
Yeah, no.
I enjoyed that episode because it reminded me of that aspect of like how I get emotionally attached to things that just don't have any personality to them, inanimate objects in that sense.
Yeah. Oh, that's not a bad thing.
No, I mean it's very human. We tend to do that thing.
Gross.
True. Gross. Disgusting.
Gross humans.
I would have it more if characters were written better, but because it always, at least, and Baldur's Gate is good at it, but like that was my big issue with like, and in general with BioWare, like they really make awesome worlds and everything like that, but their characters always just feel like
the very
blandish. Where I'm like, yeah, no, I literally don't care about most of you.
They literally one of the things they do a lot. I've noticed is they pick a character, and this person's going to care a lot about this thing, and then that's their entire character. They don't have hobbies. They don't do anything else. All they do is care about this one thing.
It's like,
they're the good shot. Therefore, they can do nothing but shoot. Yeah,
they're the rogue, and they have the rogue attitude. They're this.
I would agree for the most part. However, there is instances where BioWare definitely they definitely know how to write a character very well, but they're not consistent with it.
Like I would say
some characters are extremely in depth and very 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 immersive to like interact with. Other characters are very bland.
Because they're so rare, I'd say that's an accident. They do that completely by accident. Like I think that's okay. You're the intern, write this character, while the rest of us who actually go write everything else. And that's the one because the intern comes in going, "Oh, I'm going to write." That's all they have to do is write this one character. So all they do, all of their energy goes into this one great character, and it's like that's why we like that character because and that's all they focused on for the entire development of the game.
I feel like sometimes the characters feel like they're literally like, oh, this character is here for, like you said, this type of playthrough. If you want to be the good one, here's the good character. And obviously, in every choice-based RPG and everything, you have that, but you don't want to feel the mechanic of it. And with some of the BioWare characters, I kind of feel like I feel the mechanics of it because it's like, oh yeah, like this character is here for this reason and this. And
I feel,
you feel the reason for it, but you don't feel the character itself.
I feel like Dragon Age suffered more from that than Mass Effect did, and I would agree. I would agree. I am fully open to people saying, no, I don't. I think it's the other way around because I could see that too. But it's like for the most part, I feel like the Mass Effect characters definitely had a bit more depth to them. Like especially someone like yeah, true. But that game definitely focused more on the characters than it did Dragon Age. I feel like
it's a bit more of a humanizing story as well, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, like Dragon Age,
a bit more on it.
Dragon Age felt like the characters were definitely like interesting enough, but the main focus was your character specifically and the plot that you were getting involved in, and obviously the action combat, whatever. But whereas Mass Effect was definitely more like you are this main character, you are Shepard, and your focus for this story is how the other characters around you are definitely like going and interacting with you. Like it is less about like it just felt more like as much as I enjoyed the action, I thoroughly enjoyed shooting the shit out of things. But it felt like that was just like to get you to the next story beat where it was focusing like definitely on the story more than the action of it.
The best way I can explain, because I'm not like BioWare, like their characters are still better than most games.
Yeah.
So it's not, but since those are the ones everybody plays, they're the easy examples. I feel like their storytelling is, if they're really hitting their strides, is like a 9 out of 10, like world building wise and everything like that. But their characters, I think, at their best is like 7-ish, maybe depending on the story beats you get, but that kind of goes back into the world building, is like maybe an 8. But so you have that little bit of a disconnect. But it's usually is the same. It's either really good world building or really good characters, and the world feels a bit so it's usually either or. I
feel like Garrus is a really good example of a well-written character.
Oh, that's the lizard, right?
Yeah, the bird guy, technically.
I typed Garrus and I literally see like a. Oh no, that's
well, the Turians are apparently like they're an evolved race from avians, so they're a bird-like race.
No, okay.
But he was the reason I say he was one of the better characters is because, like you say, a lot of the characters feel like they're focused on this one thing and that's all they do. Whereas Garrus was more. He definitely
had a mission
the best.
for himself.
He was the morally grey, in the sense that, or rather, he was a great example of chaotic good. He wanted to do the right thing, but he was sick of dealing with like all the bureaucracy, so he just went off and did his own shit, like regardless of what people were telling him.
I think also with Garrus versus most of the other ones, Garrus's story evolved with it, whereas all of the other ones were still like, oh no, this is still like my background from my past, and you're maybe just like taking care of some problems with it, but this is still about what happened in the past. And to a certain extent, every character is like that, but with Garrus at least is okay, past thing is done. Now we're going to what do I do now, versus everybody else kind of felt like
Garrus was that
I'm still dealing with this thing from the past.
Garrus was that one character that felt like he was the most impacted by Shepard.
Yeah.
And especially from 1 to 2, where he like became Archangel. That was definitely like his way of like showing that Shepard had an influence on him. Was like Shepard could go about and do whatever the fuck he or she wanted, depending on which one you picked. Let's be fair though. FemShep was definitely best. Don't care what anyone says. That is a universal fact, and you can't deny it.
I can't say I've only played as a male.
God damn, you were missing out. No, disrespect to male Shep, but FemShep definitely had the better delivery of lines and
so I've told.
That seems to be a common occurrence. That's the same in almost every game I've played where you can pick male or female. The female voice actor has been way better, and I don't know why.
It's just strange, isn't it?
They just deliver the lines way better. They get more.
There's more passion.
There's more passion. It's more impactful. And even some people, I've heard some people say, "Well, it's passion, it's emotion. Women better at emotion, whatever." But like, it's not even that. It's like even in the ones where we're at war, there's no emotion. Like it's literally sheer logical and or intimidation, which theoretically men should be better by that argument. And it's still better on the female voice actor.
If I was to give a random guess, my guess is that male voice actors are given the script and told like you are a soldier in this war, and they channel this whole I'm a soldier in the war. Yeah, so they kind of default to this like kind of stoic.
Either the grunty soldier guy or like the funny guy.
Whereas women voice actors kind of come in and just they're like, okay, I get that I'm supposed to be the soldier, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it's the additional it's the additional thinking that they give to it that allows them to give a better emotion to it.
I think it's kind of the same with like it used to be with hairstyles, where if you played a female character, you had like 50 different styles where you could kind of make a character you wanted, and with when it was
don't
like
even get me
men,
started on
it was
character
like,
creators.
hey, do you want a buzz cut? Do you want to be bald, or do you want to have long anime
It's
hair?
bullshit, dude. It
It's like,
pisses me off so much. Like, even though I predominantly
It's
enjoy
gotten-
playing
it's gotten
female
better.
characters, it definitely has gotten better, but it's still not there. It is still like it can still go into most games, and the character creation, the female options are fucking vast in amount of different like expression that you could pick. The male ones are so fucking bland in comparison.
I don't know what annoys me worse is like when you've got the two genders and they've got separate hairstyles and it's like that, or when they just can't be bothered and they put both genders' hairstyle and either gender can pick all the same hairstyles. But
I
you
prefer
can
it the
still
other one.
you
I
can
prefer
still
that.
look at it. You can still look at it and go, okay, they clearly designed like 4 guys and 20 females. Realize there's a difference and just put them into this one menu instead.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know which shows their lack of effort more.
I like having all of the options. Just
I
I
agree.
don't like it
You
when they are
never
though.
know.
Then, but
I agree with Zion, like saying that it's an obvious, like a bit of a cop out at the same time, but it's like if I'd rather it was everybody had everything rather than it was being restricted, because at least then it's like I can decide myself whether something looks good or not.
everyone loves a good bearded lady.
yeah, exactly. Especially
what-
with
When they separate out the fucking tattoos and stuff as well, that's some of that bugs me. It's like, okay, I can get hairstyles maybe, or makeup styles and stuff like that. But things like piercings, tattoos, any scarification, or anything, things that are purely stuff that you're not born with, you go to a shop or something and get it done. Like, why would that be separate? Why can men get something done that women can't? Apart from the obvious ones, but you know, like. Why can women have 5 piercings in one ear, but the guy can only have the one?
I'm surprised Koshi, of all people, hasn't voiced his opinion on this subject.
He's playing with his Prince Albert.
Because you've definitely had plenty of experience, same as I have, with character creators in MMOs, for example, where the options for female characters have just been ridiculously good compared to the male character. Because you've definitely played male and female characters in games like that.
Well, I mean, when you really break it down, women tend to have more features than men, so their characters are going to stand out more, aren't they?
But it shouldn't be like that.
Well, that's how humans are
No,
made. Yeah.
not anymore. I would
I
say
mean, not anymore. Is there like a second
I would
generation
say-
of human out there right now that
I
I
would
haven't
say
seen?
I'm
next
just
human?
saying that as the woke mind virus that is taking over everybody, that freedom of expression has definitely overcome the rigid buzzcut bullshit that men have had to go through.
No,
for
but
most of the
it's
time.
also just they've realized that there's more than 3 haircuts that men have.
Yeah.
So it's
I don't know
there's
what games
obvious
you guys are
ob-
playing. I mean, the games I play, haircuts are usually available to the same genders.
Not in MMOs or not.
Well, yeah, if you're just looking at like 2000, I mean, when I played Black Desert, which was the last one I played, that was pretty elaborate for male.
Sure, but it was also ridiculous. Okay, Black Desert pissed me off. Black Desert had such a fantastic, like, quite robust character creator, but it had the most ridiculously illogical restrictions on things I have ever seen. Like, certain classes had access to different hairstyles.
Way to stay
Why?
on topic.
Huh?
What?
Did you not
Because you're
remember
making
that?
yes, I do, because you're making the characters that they're giving you, or I'm sorry, the classes that they're giving you, they have it's an art style. They have an idea in mind on what they want that.
Well, no, when it came to and this is the deal with a lot of
This is why I
Korean
don't
games. I'm just fucking explaining. This is
So was I.
This is the
Funny
thing
enough.
with a lot of Korean games, though, is that when you pick a character in Korean games like that, you're not so much picking. It's different from like the Western games. We have a tendency to give the players like a self-insert, like where you can create your own person and be your own dude. Whereas when it comes to Korea and I think Japan as well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like they're more so giving you like you said, Koji, it's like a pre-existing thing. They view them more as like a figurine, like a collectible that exists, rather than you creating your own self-insert character or whatever the hell you want, like your own creation. You're basically just like it's like you're dressing up a figure that has already been made for you. So it's like a different approach, and that's why they do it. But it still pisses me off that they did it in Black Desert. They had no real reason to do it.
Other than the fact that it's their style.
I hate their style, all right? That's what I'm saying.
Don't play
Fuck
the
'em.
fucking
Fuck
games.
bloody Korea and their stupid, rigid crap.
Then don't play the games.
Oh, I don't anymore. Fuck them. Any other Korean game that comes out, I'm not fucking playing it.
That's what I like about
like Lost Ark, right?
I gave it a shot, and it turned out to be the same crap, so I haven't played that either.
That's what I like that Baldur's Gate 3 has done, where you can just be like, oh, hey, I want, I'm going with this type of character, and it will give you the race and styles and everything like that, and even your sub races. But then you can just click, nah, show me everything, and you can just, okay, here you go. But if you want to be lore specific, here's the options. And if you're just like, hey, I just want to make whatever the fuck I want, just click the button, and you can have access to everything.
Yeah, I like that because
I think that's a good way to do it.
I picked human, and I could put elven or demonic eyes on, which is pretty cool. Like I like that it wasn't restricted, even though it originally showed, hey, this is what humans should have, but you can put whatever you want on.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it.
Agreed.
So
more options is always good. I feel like.
Yeah, and you show lore-wise what it should be. So if you want to stick to that, that's good. But then if you just want to do whatever, go ahead.
Yeah, because like my thinking was, my character is not a half elf, but maybe she's got like a little bit of elven in her. That's why she's got elven eyes. Or maybe there's like, it just looks like it's elven eyes, but there's some other like headcanon explanation they've got for it or whatever the hell. Like it's the creativity side. It allows for that. Rather than saying, no, we have decided that 100% you have to stick to this. It's like, why?
For the same reason why I kind of prefer, at least in big RPGs where you really like make your character for them to not speak, because sometimes you just have like, oh, I'll do this, and this, and then they're constantly talking in every dialogue, and you're just, yeah, this is not the voice I envision with this character.
Yeah, that does come as a bit of an
like
issue.
if it's just like an all right, I think we should go there. Fine, Well, and like I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but like I said with the Fallout 4, I was like, oh yeah, you know what? I want to make it cool, like Black Soul Brother with a big afro and all of that. And then I got to the voice, and it's like, okay, yeah, so average white guy. Yeah, this doesn't work. Back to the character creator. Which is kind of a shame, because you have this whole thing and you're playing in your head how you're gonna play your character and everything, and then it's just like, yeah, okay, well, back to the drawing board, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is what you don't really want out of it.
All right. Koshi, you mentioned you had a big topic, or at least a controversial topic, something that people would get a debate going. Why don't you?
I just want to say,
bring us into that?
You're great at segues.
Thanks.
Well, thank you.
Go ahead. Tell us what was this big fucking thing that you wanted to bring into the group?
Well, it was something that I've been noticing as I've been playing the game, and it's something that I've noticed in other games, So I'm going to use a big one as a great example.
Do you like a big one?
Cyberpunk 2077.
Okay.
In that game, you get freedom outside of the quests to do what you wish.
Yeah.
If you want to just drive around, run around, murder people, work on side quests. Basically, it feels like a living, breathing world. But the problem with Cyberpunk 2077 is the game is overall, it's very linear. You have to go and do main quests to kind of jumpstart the world. And while you're doing this, you're kind of hamstringed into doing these quests. Now, yeah, you have freedoms to do the quest the way you want. Things change. It's not linear like a hallway in that sense, but it's linear overall. It's very story based.
Yeah, the world doesn't feel as dynamic as it should. Is that what you're trying to say? Like you say that you can go out and do, like, you can go do your side quests and shoot people, but nothing really changes unless you're doing the main story.
Right.
Yeah.
And Starfield, for example, that game is coming out in about a month. I had to mention it sometime, right?
Yeah.
I completely forgotten about it.
I was waiting for it. I was like, how are we gonna do this?
Well, how's he gonna slide it in?
Starfield, I think if it doesn't shit the bed and it does hold up, has the potential to be game of the decade. We've talked about this before. The mod support down the line is going to basically keep that game living for years from now. And you're always going to find something new, something fun to do in a game like that, because it is basically an open sandbox.
Yeah.
Where, but more of a sandbox for modders and for content. Not so much what you can do like a GTA game.
Yeah.
But the game is just gonna keep evolving essentially.
You know what a good analogy for that, or like comparison that is? It's like how you've got the main Star Wars universe, but then you've got the extended universe.
Except the extended universe plain out sucks.
No,
So anyway,
I mean, not entirely.
Well, no, but the majority of it does. So we have
hot take, I guess.
Not really. A lot of people aren't exactly. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in extended universe. Don't get me wrong.
For every good one, you forget 3 bad ones.
Yeah, pretty much. Don't forget Chewbacca died by getting hit by a moon. But anyway.
Okay.
Moving on from that crap.
Spoilers.
Yeah. Well, it's not canon anymore.
That's spoilers in the best way, because I just saved you a lot of annoyance. All right. But what I'm getting at is Starfield is not going to be game of the year, because Starfield, the game itself, will probably be fun, but is it going to rival Baldur's Gate? No. Is it going in storytelling, in the story that Bethesda is going to give us? The way the characters move and act is already pretty,
rigid.
Yeah, it looks outdated in some spots.
Yeah.
That said, and I don't mean just graphics. I mean, not the graphics, but I mean technology wise. That said, the game itself, I think the best that game can actually be vanilla wise is an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, that's probably, I would say that's probably the best as well.
Yeah, and that's like if it hits all cylinders running.
Yeah.
And the mods that are really going to shape change that game aren't going to be out for a year or two. Yeah, within a week you'll probably have like the big titty mods and the 4K high
is
texture
there any
bodies.
ones that really matter other than penis mods?
But that said, the really good ones, the overhauls and such, new types of gameplay, Skyrim itself placed on one planet, that stuff is not going to happen for a year or two.
I mean, it's probably, and this is to your case, just interjecting. I think what did it take? Like 6 months or something like that for the creation thing for Skyrim to come out?
I don't remember.
So even just that is going to take a while.
Yeah, probably. So what I'm getting at, what is Cyberpunk 2077 and what does Starfield, other than having to mention it, what does that have to do with Baldur's Gate? Well, here's the thing. I
Can I
think
guess?
Baldur's Gate. Oh, go sure. Take a guess where I'm going with this.
I think you feel like Baldur's Gate at the moment, as far as you've gotten, feels more like you're going here for a quest and a story versus like you're actually living in the world.
Exploration.
That is very, very, very close.
What's the reason?
Now,
There's not really much reason to explore other than in Baldur's Gate, other than do the quests to do the quest.
Well, there's hidden secrets and places
well,
that you can go. Though.
okay, but hold on. Let me get to the meat and potatoes, and then this is where the debate's going to happen, because Funky was like 99% there. He wasn't wrong in anything he said. There was a little more to add to that. Starfield's not going to win it, but just like Cyberpunk 2077, Baldur's Gate is very story driven. Now, what that means, or what I should say, what one of the downsides to that is, you're always going to be doing the same thing. And by that I mean, yeah, there's a lot of different rotations to certain NPCs or quests that could happen in and out of sync. Things can be changed around. There's always going to be a little flavor there. It's not strictly vanilla. There's always going to be a little flavor there. But overall, every playthrough, I'm always going to have to go to the Goblin Camp. I'm always going to have to go to the the Emerald Forest or the Emerald Grove, whatever it's called. Yes. And I'm always going to have, to some extent, while there may be some variation, I'm always going to end up doing the exact same missions over and over. So while I feel, and of course, I should point this out for all the thousands listening at home.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you say hi, Seth.
Oh, hi, Seth. Yes, sorry.
While it's being told very well, and the gameplay is great, it's a really nice stratagem when it comes to the combat. I think Baldur's Gate is going to fall in the same way that Divinity Original Sin 2 did, and other RPGs of this type in the past, where I think this could win the game of the year.
Well, that's the thing though. With Divinity Sin 2, you had what was it, Dungeon Master mode or something, where you could create your own stories and things like that, couldn't you?
Yeah, but you know what though, and I could be wrong on this. I didn't see a lot of people using it.
I didn't
it's
either.
Because it wasn't that great.
Yeah, I heard it was quite limited, but I mean, they've said that they're not going to do it for Baldur's Gate because it's like it's locked into what it was supposed to be. Whereas
they're probably not gonna get permission either.
Yeah, like the way they built it was basically like they're just doing this because it was contracted to be done like this. Whereas with Divinity Original Sin, they can kind of do their own.
It was a stretch goal from the Kickstarter.
So
maybe with Original Sin 3, maybe we will see like a better Dungeon Master mode or whatever it was.
I would not mind it.
My point is, back on topic, that Baldur's Gate 3 may win Game of the Year, but it also may not. Tears of the Kingdom, yep, this is where it comes in. Tears of the Kingdom might actually win because A, it's a Zelda game, B, the story was actually pretty decent. And while it may not have been as rich, story detailed as Baldur's Gate, it does have one thing that Baldur's Gate does not have, and that is the open world what's the word I'm looking for? Not so much freedom, but like, building. Yeah, I guess freedom, but freedom's real broad. Freedom's real broad. Like you're able to basically do whatever you want in the game in your way, and that sort of freedom, whether it's just exploring or building your machines, that sort of thing could take Baldur's Gate. So I don't think that's counted out. I think Baldur's Gate has to really, do its thing to really be the game of the year. Yeah. But I think that's the one thing that's going to hurt it, is that Baldur's Gate is going to be very linear. I feel, even though I haven't completed it, I feel like it's everything I'm going to do. I'm going to have a blast playing it, but at the end of the day, if I want to do another run, I'm going to be doing with variation. I'm basically going to be doing the exact same thing over again.
Well,
And
I think that's more just a RPG in general.
well, see, that's the thing, is like you can count Fallout 4 or Zelda as, well, maybe action RPG, but it still falls under the RPG formula. But those have a lot more freedom. I keep coming back
I
to
guess
that word.
traditional RPG is
I
kind of
mean,
more what
it's a fitting word. That's, I mean, it's as simple as it. Freedom is a good word for it. It's freedom of like what you would expect from an open world game.
I think this just has a different kind of freedom.
Yeah.
Freedom of choices.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, you play through the game like 5-6 times, you're probably going to get through majority of the choices.
Yeah, but I mean, you can only also do so much
Right, but I mean, I understand, and I'm not,
no,
against the developer or
yeah,
anything.
exactly. No.
But this type of game, the way it's
Being
designed,
advocate.
I know, but what I'm saying is that this type of game, the way it's designed, I think it's going to hurt it more than help it in the long run.
I don't know.
It's I think it's I think you have a point, but it's I feel like it's smaller for me than for you, because I think you go to Zelda, the Breath of the Wild, and the other one for that open worldness, and you go to this one for the story beats and all of that. So you're already accepting kind of what style of game it is by, choosing to play it. As it's
Yeah.
like if I want to have a really fun open world thingy, technically, Baldur's Gate is somewhat open world, and I could go anywhere, but it's obviously, compared to like a Red Dead or something, it's not really open world. So I'm not gonna install Baldur's Gate 3 to feel like I'm playing an open world game. But if I want a really good, and if I run a really good RPG, I'm not gonna install Red Dead,
Well,
or
yeah,
stuff like that.
obviously, I'm saying that the way this game is designed, when there's nothing wrong with that, but I think in the long run it's going to hurt it more than help it. Like, for instance, I like the game right now and I'm enjoying it. So when I go through the whole game and I get to the ending, I'm going to say, "Damn, that was a blast!" And I'm going to want to play it again. And this time, I'm going to want to try Paladin, or I want to try Ranger, or I want to try a Magic class, something different than what I was doing previously.
Yeah.
But then I sit back and think, oh, but then I'm gonna have to go through all this again. I'm gonna have to go through all that again. And the thing is, like, because there's little to do between the quests, you're basically jumping from one to the next, to the next, to the next. And I think what's gonna happen is the hardcore people, like yourself, Funky, you could play it 2-3 times in a row before you put it down for a while. I think a lot of the other people, though, and I would say the majority, are gonna play through this once, talk great praise about it, give it 10 out of 10, and then probably never play it again until like 5 years later.
That's the case for most games.
I
like,
feel...
how many people actually replay Dark Souls?
Yeah, it's a game. You're getting into like the design choices there more than the play choices. Like, the game is designed for you to play it once or twice and then put it down. Unlike something like Cyberpunk or the Zelda games, where it's designed for you to pick up, play for 8 hours, and not actually do a single quest in that time. This one is designed for you to play for 8 hours and do like 4 quests. But like, that's not so much hurting it. It's more, that's how the game is designed. So if you went in, so you go into this game expecting that. If you go into this game expecting to have a full Zelda experience, then you're a moron, because why the fuck would you buy Baldur's Gate 3 when you want Zelda?
I think in terms of game of...
What the hell you guys are talking about?
I feel in terms of game of the year, Koshi's he's correct in the sense that the majority of people are only going to play through once. But there's so much in that one playthrough, I suspect that a lot of people are still going to come away and think of it as being Game of the Year, and it still might win. Like, even though
it might very much win.
I think
it's a very good point, but
I think your whole point of it being like it's if you play it again, it's the kind of the same story beats, and you're right, it will be, but the people who will be replaying it don't really care about that. They're more interested in the fact that they're like trying out a new class or whatever. Like, that's the focus of it. They're not going into it thinking, oh well, I have to go through this again. It's more like, oh well, I'm now going to have to get
happens in this thing.
Obviously,
or it's like this challenge that I've already done on my first playthrough. It's less about the story of it. It's more about how is my current class that's different from the first time is gonna get through this area of the game.
Out new builds and everything.
Like the new build and things like that. Whereas, like you say, most people will only play through it once, but the game is fucking huge, so they're still gonna come out thinking it's gonna feel like they've played multiple times of another game because there's just so much of it.
Arc 1 is bigger than a lot of games.
Yeah, so like I still think they're gonna come out. It's not gonna be a downside the way that it's been designed that way. Like that it's not got as much freedom, for lack of a better term, as say other games such as Tears of the Kingdom or such like that.
I think what's really gonna, I don't want to say hurt, but I mean, if we're talking Game of the Year, for that one it's a sequel, and while it does some things better, it changes some things, it's still mostly just Breath of the Wild. And Breath of the Wild was, having never played it, but I'm going off of people that have played it, like, really amazing because it was so new and it really nailed everything. And this is just, well, we've had the amazing part. This is just more of the amazing.
Yeah.
Not that that's a bad thing, of course, but it's not as special as the first time you played. If you get a Elden Ring 2, like, now you know what to expect, so you're not gonna be as, oh my god, this is the best thing ever kind of thing, because your expectations will be higher.
It's kind of mostly the same stuff as Breath of the Wild. It's just they've got Ultra Hand added in. That mechanic which is definitely new, but it's, people are saying like it's not quite enough to win it Game of the Year, for example.
Yeah, like, very solid game. I just don't think it's like, enough.
And as much as I have enjoyed what I've played of Tears of the Kingdom, I would kind of agree that it does just feel like it's Breath of the Wild again, but better. Whereas what I'm looking for Game of the Year is something that's absolutely groundbreaking. Which technically, when you think about it, is Baldur's Gate 3 really groundbreaking? No, not really, but it is, like, clearly a good experience, so maybe it's enough to kind of overcome that.
I think what's really telling about it, and I don't know if we went over this on the podcast, but it kind of started with that dev, like, going like, hey, don't set this as the new bar. And while people kind of somewhat misunderstood what he was saying, there have been, it is kind of telling that two of the biggest, like, games of a generation, or at least, like, of the decade, both of those have gotten shit, like, hey, don't expect this to be the norm, because when Elden Ring came out, it was like, hey, you know what, don't expect this to be the standard. And so it's kind of odd that they're kind of pushing back and, like, trying to lower your expectations of other games, and kind of being afraid of its success. It's not the best way to,
it is a bit weird, yeah,
say it, where it's just like, yeah, no, we're not expecting every game to be like Baldur's Gate, but it's a good thing to have, like, a certain standard, like, hey, this is the new gold standard, so have something to strive for. Why is that such a fucking bad thing? And I'm not expecting if the new Witcher comes out, I'm not expecting that to be a fucking Baldur's Gate game or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, hey, what worked here? Hey, people really like the having different story paths and having a really good story and everything like that. So maybe focus on that and stuff like that. Make sure you have that dynamic story and have that feel a bit more special. Because if you see what Larian has done, and that's mostly the argument other people are coming. If you see what Larian has done with, I mean, at the end they had 400 people working for them, so not a small studio, but they didn't have like corporate overlords over them, and they managed to do this. And now all the people that kind of do have corporate overlords, like your well, I think you guess your EAs with BioWare and all of that stuff, where it's kind of like, well, they've managed to do this. They have less money than you, so could we maybe like get 10% of this quality in your game? Kind of thing, like a good story and everything like that, where we don't feel fully milked and all of that, and waiting for microtransactions to come in and all of that. Is that too much to ask for these days? Usually it is, but it's good to have an actually like, hey, see, this is what player want. This is what players want, and you've gotten your money's worth.
Yeah.
Versus like, well, you don't expect everything. We get that it's unique, but at least it's a clear sign that people like it and that they want more story in their games and more choices and all of that. So don't knock it for that.
Well, just a game that isn't fucking nickel and diming you at every corner. That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice too. But what are you gonna do?
I mean, it's not like fucking Diablo 4 is going to be winning awards this year, is it? Which is ironic because when it very first relaunched, everyone was like, "Oh, holy shit, this is it, guys. This is Diablo back in form." And then season 1 dropped, and everyone was like, "Oh, okay then." I guess not.
I think, having never played it, but I think it's not it kind of washed away the bad taste of Diablo Immortal, and it was better than 3. So for a lot of people, that was just like,
Yeah.
all right, this is good. And then they kind of started, the more you got into it, and you kind of started seeing like
The flaws.
things that started bugging you and everything like that. It's kind of like a relationship, First you have your rose tinted glasses on, and then the more you're on, you kind of start seeing the flaws in it, and it's good to critique that, at least for the game and everything.
Got
and
hairy armpits and
and all of that. It's like, what are you gonna do about it? No, but and I think they're trying their best with the communication and everything like that. It is clearly that thing of like, you feel the corporate overhand kind of thingy over it, and a very Blizzard thing where it's also a very Bethesda thing, but it's gotten, I mean, can't really say, but I feel like it's gotten less since they became part of Microsoft, to Koshi's point that he's making about Starfield, where they're at least like trying to listen and make something up, but then the choices that they make, it's like they're so set in, no, this is our schedule and we're not, fuck whatever people want, this is the schedule, we're not moving away from it, which is also kind of like, yeah, but here's some quick solutions that players want to keep them engaged, so they keep coming back for seasons, so you keep making money to make more seasons instead of having your entire community against you because you're not giving them what they want.
Yeah.
So all in all, winner chicken dinner.
I think it's I think overall I agreed with what Koshi was saying. I just disagreed with how the players will actually view that.
It's a good.
We'll find out. We'll find out in a year from now when the game drops by like 95% of its player base.
I think. No. Yeah. I think.
What Baldur's Gate?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's not a game you keep replaying.
Yeah, it's a single player game for a start, so. Like it's not a live service or anything. It's not gonna retain players the same way fucking Call of Duty or anything. And it only needs to win Game of the Year once.
I think plenty of single player games have proven they don't need to be multiplayer games to be replayed over and over.
That's not the point I was making. I'm saying like
all you're doing is babbling right now.
No, what I'm saying is that the whole argument was that it could win Game of the Year. That was the whole purpose of the discussion.
Oh, was it?
Okay, well, whatever. It's. I still think it's good.
As usual,
good.
People weren't listening to what I'm trying to say. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I'm not explaining it well. But
it is your fault.
My argument was, if it doesn't win Game of the Year, this is going to. I mean, I think it will. I think it will. I'm just saying, don't count
I think it will as well.
Zelda out yet. But
no.
It wasn't about it winning Game of the Year. The controversial argument was that I'm trying to make against the game, because I feel like it's going to be a determinant, is that because of the way the game is designed, it's a very heavy story telling game. I understand all that. Yet I've had both Funky and Zion re-explain it to me. I don't know why. I understand that, but I think that is what's going to be the detriment, because it's like a really great movie that, unless you're like 5 years old watching like, Dora the Explorer over and over and over and over, or the Mario movie 10 times a day, this game, and also because it's so big, that I think a majority of the players, once they go through it, they're not going to want to have to go through everything again, and they're going to want to take a break from it. And I feel like that is not necessarily, and I could be wrong on this, but I feel like that's not necessarily how you want to make a game, where you want players to not play it again afterwards. But I feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like, it's like I said, it's going to get all the awards. And it could win Game of the Year, and it could be 10s out of 10s out of 10s out of 10s, 12s out of 10s. But because of the way the game is designed, because of the type of game it is, at the end of the day, majority of the player base, after they go through it, they're going to put it down and maybe never touch it again.
But isn't that the case with most games? Like, how many times are you going to replay Hogwarts Legacy? How many times are you going to replay Jedi Survivor?
To put it from another point of view of why would that be a bad thing? Like, you've explained it differently, so I actually understand what you're saying now. But like, why is that a bad thing? Like, I genuinely didn't get that was your point. But like, why is that a bad thing? It's the same as a month or two ago, I saw a comment on, I can't remember what fucking game it was, but it says, "Where's the post game? Where's the end game?" But it was like Baldur's Gate. It was a story based game, and one of the negative reviews on Steam was no end game. It's like, it's a story game. Why would the fuck would there be an end game?
That's pretty stupid.
Yeah. But
there is stupid people out there who fucking think that.
Obviously, your argument ain't as bad as that, but it's like, why is people playing it and putting it down, and then maybe picking it up again in a year, or maybe not picking it up again in a year, because we've all done that. Well, I'll pick it up in a year. But why would that be a bad thing, especially considering this it's not live service, the company isn't making any extra money off of it. If players put it down, the company don't give a shit. Their profit, they've already got your money from a profiteering capitalism standpoint, which is what they'll be working from. From them, they don't care. You've bought the game. You can play it for half an hour and put it down, or you can play it for 1,000 hours and put it down.
You can play it for at least over 2 hours.
At least 2 hours, and you can refund.
Then your refund policy goes out the fucking window.
But yeah, it's not really an issue. Like you say, it'll win all the accolades and it'll disappear out of people's minds. But a lot of games do that. Like, in fact, most games will do that, because that's what happens. They get left behind. Everything gets left behind eventually.
I think it's also, like, for me, I specifically bought Remnant 1 and Remnant 2 because it has all of that replayability. But I'm not expecting every game to have that, and
that was it.
I'm playing this for the
It was Remnant 2. It was like, where's the end game? And people were like, why the fuck? It's a story game. There's not going to be an end game.
I think there is no end game.
I'm going to make a comparison here. let's say that the Mass Effect games are all one thing. Like they're like in comparison to something like Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah, let's say you plan on playing through 1 to 3 all the way to from 3, start to finish, the full experience. How many times have you done that?
Twice.
Right.
With Mass Effect, are we talking?
Yeah.
But there's an asterisk there because the second time I did it was the re-release that came out 21, I think, 22.
I've played one. Well, I guess 3 times. One on my Xbox, and then I got a PC again, and then I played it again, and then I played 2. But I've only played 2 once, and 3 I've bought but never finished.
Well, the point of that was that Mass Effect, the same as Baldur's Gate, is that it's a narrative-driven game with emphasis on choices, and that it even has different classes that you can pick, so it makes the gameplay a little bit different each time you run through it. But I don't feel, like you're still going through the same story beats, just like you would in Baldur's Gate. So is it really like a downside that you're going through it again? No, I still enjoy the story, and when I go through it again, I'll probably play a different class. Like that's what I did in Mass Effect. I didn't play through it. I played through it on Infiltrator first, and then I went and did it on a harder difficulty. And I played Soldier or Vanguard or whatever the hell it was, the biotic one. And I chose different dialogue options to see what different things like outcomes would happen, and I feel like that's the same kind of thing that people will do with Baldur's Gate. They'll pick a different class and they'll go through the same story, but they'll be picking different options. And you're right that you can only most people won't do that, but they might do later down the line. Just like I played through Mass Effect all the way through and didn't touch it for like a few years, and then I went back to it and played it again. And I feel like it's fine to be able to do that even with Baldur's Gate. You might play through it now that it's just come out. You might play through it all the way through to the end and then not touch it for 3 years and then go back and play it again.
Isn't that what I said?
Right, but you're saying that it's a downside.
You're saying
that it's designed like that.
Well,
Game of the
Year. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a downside to it. Like the game can't be perfect. If I want to sit down and play a space game, I'm not going to play Baldur's Gate 3. You know why? Because Baldur's Gate 3 doesn't have space in it. That's a downside. But I know that going into it, I'm not going to complain about the game not having space in it because that make me a dumbass, right?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, and this is why I brought up Cyberpunk, and I use that as an example, because it's so linear, just like Mass Effect, which is also a good example, and any of the Dragon Age games. Yeah, there is variation to the games that makes it replayable, but because those games are so massive, without the brevity of having the freedom in between to do things that the player wants to do, just to break out of the mold a little, so you don't have to go from story point to story point to story point. Okay, great. I chose option A last time. Now I'm going to choose option B. Oh my God, they said something different. Game changing. No, that's not game changing. All right. That is just the way the games are made, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if there has to be a downside to the game, this is going to be it. Now,
I'm waiting for the downside of that. I don't see what the downside is to that. That's what I'm saying.
The downside is after you play this and you've gone through the huge, massive world and the story that it gives, you're going to be so, tired. Not tired of the game. Like I don't want to play this game anymore. I don't even want to look at it. Nah, I don't mean that. I mean like you've had your fill so much that this game is going to be pushed to the wayside, and probably, unless you're a hardcore, probably never going to play this again. And that's nothing wrong with that either. There's nothing wrong with that either. I'm not saying that's bad.
Okay.
See, I'm saying downside. You guys immediately look at that as a bad thing. It's not. It's just
that's what it means.
No, not necessarily, because
I get what
downside
he means.
here.
I don't.
Thank you. Well, let me explain. Stop interrupting me. God damn it. What I'm saying is, when I say downside, I mean there's got to be some aspect to the game that you're just not going to come back to it. Well, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing or a good thing. It's not right or it's wrong. It's not a moral choice. It's not about ethics. It's just about what you as the player wants to get out of the game. All right? That's what I'm saying. And I feel like if there's going to be a detriment to this game, it's going to be that it's too big for its own good. And that is going to be the problem. Now, Zion did say, well, yeah, there's a lot of games people play that they put down and they never go back to after they finish them. And that is true. However, there's a lot of games that fit that requirement that they still go back to, like GTA, because there's so much freedom in the game. Again, I hate bringing that back up. That's not the word I wanted to use, but I'm going to stick with it.
We get what you're saying.
Because that game has so much freedom. Or, oh no, let's go better example. All right. GTA San Andreas. CJ, all you had to do was follow the goddamn train, right?
For Christ's sake.
Nobody wants to redo that mission again, right? But because there's so much freedom before it, and there's so much freedom after it, that it gives you, it almost like feels like refreshing you and giving you like a second chance at the game, that you're willing to go through that segment of the train to be able to do these things, because those freedoms that you have are just as good as the game itself. Whereas here, there really isn't that much freedom. And like I said, it's not wrong, but it's controversial.
I feel like that's just based.
Yeah, that's just a preference. That's just a gameplay preference at that point, then.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying it's not wrong or right or bad or good. I'm saying it's just what you, as the player, wants out of the game. It's a preference. And I think that preference is going to put a lot of people off from replaying it over and over. That's all I was trying to say.
All right. Well, I still disagree then. Like,
well, then you know what? You're out.
I disagree. I disagree because and I hope.
Kick them out.
Maybe I'm just being overly optimistic, but I hope that people appreciate single player games in this aspect still to this day, because
I'm sure they do.
Because I do feel like you have a point where it's like, if we were to go into like the deeper end of it, it's like people crave these live service games, and I really don't want them to, because then it feels like the big bad companies have kind of won.
What does that got to do with anything? Every example I gave you was a single player game without live service.
Yeah.
No,
so why are you bringing live service into this?
Because
it doesn't have to.
Because live service games tend to have that kind of freedom that you're talking about. Like they've got more.
But I gave you examples that fit your requirement that don't have those. So why even bring it up in the first place?
They're fucking old
GTA
games.
6, Mass Effect 6. What?
I think it's more just like what you feel like and what you like. Not every game should be like Baldur's Gate. Not every game should be like GTA 6. Not every.
That's a good way to look at it too.
Not every game should be Call of Duty. Not it's like different taste, but you know, it is. That doesn't. They're not. And like, and I get what you're saying. Like, they're not negatives, as in like, it makes it a bad game. But I think it's just, sometimes you feel like watching a Western movie. Sometimes you feel like watching a sci-fi movie. Sometimes you feel like watching a stupid brains off movie. You know, it's just what you feel like in the moment, and you're gonna possibly replay that or not. Like, if I'm feeling like a big story, you know, there's a chance I might pick up Baldur's Gate again and try to. But I know for Baldur's Gate, which is to your point relatively, is I know it's gonna be a time sink because I'm gonna have to invest the time.
Yeah.
That's the same reason why I'm not playing what's it called? Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, because I haven't played that single player, because I know I'm gonna have to dedicate time to it.
Yeah.
But
let me say this.
But that doesn't gonna stop me from not replaying it at some point.
Let me say this. I'll put this one more way, a different way, and I'll just leave it at that. Because like I said, it's controversial. Like, I didn't expect you guys to agree with me, but this is just how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But that said, it's like Funky actually just gave me a really good idea.
Always.
I feel like watching a fantasy medieval-ish type movie. All right. Now I can sit down and dedicate X amount of hours to watching Lord of the Rings 1 through 3 extended editions, or I can sit down, and I've already seen it, and I've already seen them. Keep that in mind. Or I can sit down and watch Excalibur.
Yeah.
Or the Green Knight.
Or the new Dungeons and Dragons. Let's keep it.
Yeah, or the new Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And then save myself 10 hours, and then still be able to get up, go out, see my friends, or eat dinner, or change movies, and then now watch a Western or watch a sci-fi. Lord of the Rings is a great film. It's a series. You know what? I view it as one film, so I'm just going to go with that. I see it as one film. Yeah. It's a great series. Nothing wrong with it. But if it has a downside, a little too long.
How dare you?
But that doesn't make it bad. And I want more stuff in it. That doesn't make it bad or good or wrong or right.
It's just, are you willing to commit to it at that point in time?
I think what my point was earlier about as you say, I was rambling.
You can't talk. You've been kicked out.
I fear that these type of long form story focused games are becoming unpopular with modern audiences. But
I wonder if it's because of the TikTok crowd. And what I mean by that is people with short, attention spans. Like they need everything right now, and it needs to be delivered to them, including the reward, and then they want to move on.
That is kind of my fear, is that these type of games are going to die out, and I don't want them to. But
let's be honest.
But as we've seen with Baldur's Gate 3, its success so far, it seems to be that my fear isn't quite warranted yet.
I think Baldur's Gate, it's these games are difficult to make, so nobody's gonna. That's why the argument of don't expect everything to be like this is a fair one, even though it wasn't worded the best one, and but at the same time, it also proves that it can be done.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm kind of the reason why I was thinking about this whole argument / topic / whatever you want to call it is because I'm kind of faced with that right now. I want to go back and play Red Dead 2, but holy crap, I don't want to go through the single player tutorial again. That's like 3 to 4 hours long. And it's such a detriment that it's putting me off from wanting to play the game again. Then you have like Metal Gear Solid, which is actually a shorter tutorial. But holy crap, Hideo, what were you thinking? Have the hospital section in the beginning is such a slog that I actually was on the fence, teetering back and forth, whether I wanted to play it again, because I knew if I did, I was going to have to go through all that crap again. And that's only like a 20-minute section. But they made it feel like you're pulling teeth for those entire 20 minutes. And I'm wondering if, a lot of people are going to see the same thing with this, like, yeah, the great game was great, but now I want to go back and play Paladin. I want to go back and I want to play, some kind of caster. But oh my God, am I going to have to go through the Goblin Camp again?
I think that is fair, because and to bring back like certain movies and everything, there's some things that are, it's kind of like things that are hard to watch, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. Some things you just have to be in the mood for, because it's like 12 Years a Slave or something like that, that's a psychologically a hard movie to watch because of the topic and everything like that, and how they show it. So you gotta be really in the mood to watch 12 Years a Slave versus I just want to watch a movie. Odds are, if you just want to watch a movie, you're not gonna end up rewatching 12 Years a Slave. But it is still a movie that if you really, really want to watch it again, and you just mentally prepare yourself to, okay, I know what it takes, but I really want to see it again, and then you're just prepared to watch again, because you mentally prepare yourself for it.
That's very true. That's why I did start playing Metal Gear Solid again, although this game pretty much ruined that for me now. Because I'm never going to finish it before Starfield drops.
Starfield, yeah.
And that pisses me off, because I wanted to keep playing it. But if you notice, I did take the lesser of the two evils. I went with Metal Gear over Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
Because 20 minutes versus the 4 hour. I say 4 hour, but it's actually like 2, maybe 3 hour tutorial. maybe like just under 3 hours. I don't know, but it's extremely lengthy.
Yeah, Red Dead
from what I
Redemption
gather.
2's intro does drag on a bit. I'll give it that.
I think it's it's like you said, the Lord of the Rings trilogy is a if even let's say you wanna rewatch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, just keep it in the same. Are you gonna watch the extended cut or not? Even that's like, I mean, I obviously would, but because I'm like, if I'm gonna go for it, I might as well go all the way.
Go all
but,
in, yeah.
There's people that are saying, I just wanna, let's keep it to 9 hours instead of 3 days and 7 nights. But I'm also, but I also watched all of the commentary and all of the behind the scenes stuff and everything like that. So I'm very much
Funky is to movies what Koshi is to games. 100% that shit.
no, in general I don't do it, but because I really like Peter Jackson and he's great at explaining like his vision for it and everything like that. And as a Lord of the Rings fan, that was really interesting to see how they did everything. You had Christopher Lee, you had all of the artists that made the iconic backdrops and the weapons art that they then turned into costumes and sets for the movies and everything like that. So it's like an entire history of fantasy evolution in 3 movies with extended cuts. So that's why I was partially interested in it as well.
Fair do.
Let them come. Yeah.
Sign, you've been quiet for a hot minute.
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Anything? We've ran way over the hour that I was intending to just have this go. So, if everybody's kind of just said their piece,
yeah, I'm kind of done because like when you say going like Mass Effect and stuff, I've only ever played Mass Effect 1, so I never.
You've only played part 1?
I played Mass Effect 1. I played it through twice on the weekend it came out. I've played the opening part of 3 where is it Earth's getting wrecked by a Reaper?
Yeah, that's 3.
Where you get off Earth. And I think I did a bit of the galaxy wander around shit. And then that's all I played.
You really should give that another try.
You need to 3 as well.
You need
maybe
to at least
skip
play
1
2.
though.
Yeah.
No, 1 is still my favorite.
But it's a lot to go through though.
Yeah,
but it still feels like the most RPG out of them.
And he's yeah, it is.
The reworked version of 1 isn't too bad. It's still a little bit of a slog, but it's like
still horrendous. I hear.
Yeah, it's still a bit. It's still a bit of a weird. Like the mechanics still don't feel quite as like modern. I mean, obviously for obvious reasons they don't. But like even with like the remake version, or the enhanced whatever the hell they did to it, it still doesn't feel quite as good as it should. So I'd still probably. It's the fact that you've played through the first one twice already. I'd say just like get the second one and maybe get I don't know if it's a DLC or something like that, but it allows you to pick. It goes through like a 15-minute thing, like a comic thing that you go through and pick like the major story choices from the first game, and then it uses that as a base for your file save for the second game as you go into it. So you don't have to play the first game again. You can just kind of just pick all the stuff that you like would have picked playing the first game, and it brings them choices in.
It's play Andromeda instead.
But 100% you need to play the second game. Even if you don't bother playing the third one, the second game is fucking fantastic.
That's actually the one I like the least.
Yeah, but you're weird.
For me,
I really hated Jack.
For me, it's funny. For mine, it's literally the first game is my favorite. The second game is my second favorite, and the third one, yeah, no thanks.
I enjoyed the first one when it came out, like when I first played it, but I struggled to replay it. But just because it's so old at this point, it's like it's a bit of a clunky mess. Whereas the second one was much more like modernized in terms of like how the
I just
gameplay
felt like
was, like
it
the shooting
became
mechanics.
it just felt less RPGs and became way more action RPG.
I mean, I would agree, but I didn't hate that. I liked the fact that it
No,
had a good
but
blend between action and RPG.
but I tend to prefer mine more RPG than action RPG.
I felt like it was still pretty
Oh,
RPG heavy.
yeah, but compared to the first one, I mean,
Yeah, I guess.
because the first
Anyway.
one was really story heavy.
True. Yeah. I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah.
Next week it'll be the same deal, I imagine. We'll be playing Baldur's Gate first couple of days, and then
some other stuff to talk
we'll
about,
be
possibly
talking a bunch of other shit about the
other
same.
shit.
Yeah, we'll probably just be talking a lot about more Baldur's Gate that we've played through on Friday.
Oh,
So yeah, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Hope you had
See you,
a nice time. Bye, Seth. We love you.
Bye, Seth.
Yeah, peace out, everyone. We'll see you next week. Bye.
later, skaters.